Hey, what is going on, everybody? How are you all doing today? I hope you all having a wonderful and fantastic day today, and if not, hopefully you all will have a better tomorrow. So today I wanted to have a discussion as to why the protagonist shouldn't always win. Because there's been a bit of a pattern when it comes to the most recent volumes and the protagonist winning, and there are issues that can really come out of the protagonist always winning every single time. So I want to go over that. So sit back, relax, I hope you all enjoy, and let's go ahead and get started. So, since Volume 4, the protagonists have been winning in RWBY, and while it's not a bad thing to see the protagonist win, at the same time, it's a problem if the protagonists always win. Now, I'm not sitting over here saying I don't want to see the protagonists of RWBY win, because, yeah, it's good to see them win when they do. That's not something I have a problem with. I have a problem that it has become so consistent that it only becomes nothing but them winning. And with the protagonist constantly winning, it has several drawbacks, because not always will the protagonist win. And there will sometimes be challenges that the protagonist will have to learn to overcome. A point that the protagonists have come up to a challenge that is better than they are, and they failed the first time around, which then causes them to try to learn from their mistakes and try to either train or find some way to overcome said obstacle that is standing within their path. But one of the biggest problems that has been going on is the constant win of RWBY has become very predictable. When you think about it, and when you look at what this does to the series, with it becoming very predictable, it becomes very bland. So then when the stakes are very high, well, they fall short. And that's not exactly how you want things, because constant winning then just says, well, the stakes really aren't that high. I mean, they're intense, but they don't result in being as high as they could have, because there's nothing that's lost in the end. And with constant wins and Team RWBY not losing anyone or anything involving them that's important to what they're trying to do, their cause, well, it just feels like there are no stakes at all. It just makes you think there's a high intense moment and then it just drops. If you go back to Volume 4, you watch the Crow and Tyrion fight, and you watch the very end of it. Crow then gets stung by the stinger that Tyrion had, and this poisons him. Well, this was a moment that was of high stakes because Crow could have potentially died, and this made several fans question, is Crow going to go? Is he going to die by the end of the volume? What's going to happen? Are they going to save him? You see, that was a good moment to make you question, what are the stakes going to be? Now, while Volume 4 was not necessarily a great volume, it did leave you questioning certain things, which is still good, because the heroes were still going through a dire time of, well, the fall of Beacon happened, and they're trying to make their way and survive, as well as save everyone else in Remnant. And even if you look at Blake's situation, yet again, in Volume 5, there was a lot of people thinking that Garrow was going to die. I included on that one. I thought Garrow was going to die as well, and guess what? Nobody came out with a scratch except for Corsic and Finnick, because Finnick died. And that resulted in another high-stake moment that could have happened, and then the ball was dropped. So then by the time the Battle of Haven happens, in which it makes you wonder, is there the possibility of someone dying? What kind of conflict is the protagonist going to go through? Is someone of the protagonist team going to die? And then what did they do? They threw a spear through Weiss, but everybody knew that Weiss was going to live, so really the high stakes just didn't feel like they were there. But with the protagonist constantly winning, it also does another thing. It makes the antagonist look bad. Because while the antagonists did get their win in Volume 3, afterward, their win rate has plummeted. It has gone down. Now, while this affects the protagonist characters, with their win rate constantly going up, and it kind of does become a predictable vibe, this also affects the antagonist characters, but not in a positive way. This affects them in a negative way that makes them really feel like they're being rendered as useless. It really just makes them feel like they're here to be the antagonist of the hero's story and not have their own story to actually tell, when in fact, antagonist characters are just like hero characters as well. They see themselves as doing things within the right, and they have their own story. They have their own point of view that deserves to be told as well, and with constantly making the antagonist lose, well, it gives them a bad rep on the idea of, well, look, the antagonist, they're not a threat at all. They're just here because they're going to help a character develop. Or, oh, look, the antagonist is going to be here just to lose. And it causes a problem because then it doesn't make the antagonist at all feel threatening. It doesn't feel like they really have anything to contribute to the plot other than being that antagonist for that moment or a stepping stone. And that's really all that the antagonists at that point feel like, as well as even the threat. And that is not a good thing when that's the whole situation out of it, because if you want the antagonist to feel threatening, then do things that make them feel threatening. Make them become more involved within the plot. Make them win more. You see, with the protagonist constantly winning, the threat level just dies, and it cuts the antagonist from the potential they could have when there could be a high threat level coming from the antagonist. And it's really not fair to them because it feels like all the respect and love is going to the protagonist, and it's cutting away from the antagonist as well. And if you look at the high stakes and the issues that Volume 3 provided, and you look at why people really love the volume. I mean, you had Penny's death, you had Pyrrha's death, you had Adam cutting off Yang's arm, you had Roman's death, you had so many issues that occurred within one volume that flipped the script from what a lot of people were thinking was going to happen, and the build-up paid off. The antagonists actually felt like they were a threat. The heroes didn't win at the end of the day. They were shown to not be perfect, and that, just like anyone else, they can lose too. That heroes can also have their off days, and that no matter how hard they prepare, sometimes they're just not going to win. And that was a good showcasing for the antagonist within this volume, was that Volume 3 really did the whole, hey, heroes don't always win thing right. And it paid off in the end, and it had a great conclusion that left people wanting more. And to have the protagonist also lose to learn something from this, to learn that there are stakes involved, that there are things that could go wrong. This was a good thing to see. And that if you want suspense, well, you can't always have the heroes win. You want the heroes to learn, well then help them learn through failure. That does help people in reality learn is through failure. Having the antagonist win a little bit and not always giving the spotlight to the protagonist really helps them seem like they're actually threatening and that the risk is actually there. And if you always have the protagonist win, then it just feels like the threat is just completely non-existent. It feels like the antagonists are really just there to progress the plot, and some protagonist characters just don't even grow from the issue because they feel like what they're doing is okay. But anyways, let me know what you think down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments down below. But anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. And if you did enjoy, hit the video with a like. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and share so your friends that you found this informative or useful. And join the Discord. The link will be down below. But anyways, I hope you all have yourselves a wonderful and fantastic day today. And remember, if today was not a good day, tomorrow could always be better. Take care of yourselves and everyone around you. And have yourselves a good one out there, everybody.